Hi, and welcome back to Jeff and Joe's Puerto Rican Kitchen, where we show you how to make easy, authentic Puerto Rican recipes.
Thank you so much again for joining us today. Last week, we kicked off our Puerto Rican culinary journey exploring one of the island's best well-known dishes, white rice and beans. Now, Jeff, what is the one thing that Puerto Ricans like more than rice and beans?
Ricky Martin.
No?
Jill?
No, food-wise.
Plantains?
Yes, or plátanos as we call them in Puerto Rico. Plantains are extremely versatile, and Puerto Ricans cook them in so many ways. We eat them green, we eat them ripe or yellow, we eat them as a main dish, as a side dish, or incorporating them in so many recipes. Indeed, the one thing I can't think of is having plantains in a dessert, but I'm sure someone has tried that too.
So as you can tell, plantains are huge in Puerto Rico, and not just in our diet, but also in our economy. At any given time, there are more than 20 million plantain trees, producing more than 405 million plantains each year for sale. And that doesn't include all the plantains that people have in their backyards, either for their own homes or for their friends and family.
So let's cook some plantains. Today, we will be making two of Puerto Rico's best known side dishes, tostones and mofongo. So how do I explain these to you? Well, tostones is the Puerto Rican version of French fries. Flattened plantains fried until crispy. And then mofongo is the Puerto Rican version of mashed potatoes. Lightly fried plantains smashed all together, flavored with butter until perfection.
And Juma already mentioned this, but last week we made rice and beans. And tostones and mofongo are the perfect complement to that. So if you haven't already watched the video in the link below, go check it out.
Okay, all of this talk about plantains is making me so hungry. So let's get cooking.
When shopping for plantains to use for tostones and mofongo, make sure you pick ones that are really green. As plantains age, they'll start to get big black spots on them, so if possible, try to avoid those. Now start by cutting off the ends of the plantain. Then, take a small paring knife, place your thumb about a 1/4 inch away from the knife's point, obviously being careful not to cut yourself, and run your thumb along the surface of the plantain lengthwise, making about a 1/4 inch incision. The idea here is to cut the plantain's thick skin while leaving the meat undisturbed. Once you've cut through the skin, you should be able to use your hands to peel away the skin in large pieces. Some people find digging into a plantain with their fingers uncomfortable, so feel free to use a spoon or butter knife to pry open the skin so you can get a better grip. And speaking of uncomfortable, the plantain sap can be very sticky, so be careful not to get it on your clothes as you are working with the plantains. Also, if you'd rather not get the sticky sap on your hands, you can rub a little oil on your hands first before handling the plantain. Once you've peeled your plantains, go ahead and cut them into pieces that are about 1.5 inches long. You want to try and make the pieces about the same size so that when you cook them, they all cook evenly. This first step of peeling and cutting the plantains is the same for tostones as it is for mofongo.
Once you have your plantains peeled and cut, it's time to fry them. Fill a large, heavy pot with oil and heat it up to around 285 degrees Fahrenheit. If you get it too much hotter than that, you'll end up browning the plantains before they're fully cooked. You want to use enough oil to cover at least 2/3 of the plantains. This way, you know you'll get the whole plantain cooked while only needing to flip it once. Once your oil is up to temperature, gently place the plantains into the oil, being careful not to splash it on you. You'll know the oil is hot enough when your plantains start to bubble as soon as you drop them into the oil. As you're adding the plantains to the oil, You want to make sure to leave a little space in between each piece. This way, the oil will be able to circulate freely, ensuring that you'll cook all parts of the plantain evenly. Once all your plantains are in the oil, fry them for 6 minutes on one side. Then flip the plantains and fry another 6 minutes on the other side. Once the 12 minutes are up, you should be able to easily stick a fork through your plantain pieces. At this point, they're done and you can pull them out of the oil, letting them drain on a piece of paper towel. Now on to the tostones. To make these, you're gonna take your cooked plantain pieces, flatten them into disc and refry them in hot oil, ending up with perfectly crisp rounds. Start by oiling the surface you'll use to smash your plantains. This is just to prevent the tostones from sticking. Then one by one, place your cooked plantains on the flat surface and squash them into disc between 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch thick, depending on how crunchy you want the tostones to be. The thinner the disc, the crispier they will end up. Puerto Ricans have a specific tool for this step, a tostonera. But if you don't have a tostonera at home, I find that a small glass dish or bowl with a flat bottom works perfectly fine, and you have the added advantage of seeing how thin you're making your tostones. Once all your plantains are flattened, you're ready to give the tostones their second fry. For the second round of frying, we want to bring the oil up to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. This way, the tostones will be golden and crispy when they're done frying. In preparation for the second fry, we also want to add some seasoning to the tostones. Now you could try and sprinkle salt onto your tostones after you've fried them, but this doesn't work so well and generally the salt falls off. Puerto Ricans are all too familiar with this flavoring conundrum and have come up with an ingenious solution. In a bowl, mix together a brine of water and adobo, being careful to whisk out any big clumps. Then dip your tostones into the brine, shake off any excess water and drop them into the hot oil. What will happen is that the hot oil will evaporate the water in your brine, leaving just the adobo, which will season the tostones. So once you have your brine, one by one, dunk the tostones into it, shake off any excess water, and place the tostones into the hot oil. Fry the tostones for 2 to 3 minutes until golden brown on both sides, flipping if needed. Once cooked, remove from the oil and let dry on some paper towel.
Let's move on to our second dish, mofongo. To make mofongo, we'll take our fried plantains, and rather than flattening and refrying them, like we did for tostones, we're going to smash them into a paste that we'll flavor with butter, garlic, and adobo. First, prepare your flavorings. Combine softened butter, minced garlic, and adobo in a small bowl. Next, take your fried plantains and begin smashing them. Here I'm using a pilon, which is a wooden mortar and pestle traditionally used to make mofongo. It's one of my favorite kitchen tools, and you may recognize it from our logo. But if you don't have one, no worries. We'll also show you how to make mofongo with more traditional kitchen tools. I like to start by smashing about half of the plantains I'm going to use. Once those have been broken down, add half of your butter mixture and keep smashing all of it together. Once it starts to get smooth, add the remaining plantains and smash them as well. Finally, add the remaining butter mixture and keep working the whole thing until it's smooth. You'll know the mofongo is ready when it has the consistency of lumpy mashed potatoes. You don't want there to be large pieces of plantain still in the mix, but you also don't want this to look like you ran it through a blender, as it can start to get gummy. Once your mofongo is ready, some people like to serve it out of the pilon. This is very traditional and a great option if you have a million pilons lying around. Like normal people though, I only have one, so I usually serve my mofongo on a plate. A nice way to present it is to pack the mofongo into a bowl, then loosen it from the sides and turn it out on a plate. There you can garnish it with a little cilantro or oregano or any other herbs you might have lying around. As I mentioned, you don't need a pilon to make mofongo. An easy approach I've learned from times I've made mofongo away from home is to just use a bowl and a cup to smash your plantains. I like to use a plastic cup for this, so I don't have to be worried about breaking it as I smash the plantains. As with the pilon, add half of your plantains to the bowl and start smashing them. Then add half of your butter, continuing to work it all together. As that all gets smooth, keep adding the remaining plantains and butter, smashing it all together until it reaches the right consistency. Once smooth, spoon your mofongo into a bowl and pack it all in. Then loosen the mofongo and turn it out onto your serving plate. With our tostones and mofongo ready to go, the next thing we need to do is make our dipping sauce. Mayo-ketchup is Puerto Rican's preferred dipping sauce, and we use it for just about everything, from tostones and mofongo to french fries and chicken tenders. As you may have guessed from the name, Mayoketchup is predominantly a mixture of mayonnaise and ketchup, but Puerto Ricans like to spice this up with minced garlic and adobo. Just mix all of the ingredients together and you're ready to go. Now that you have all of your components, we're ready to put it together. I like to serve my mofongo garnished with a little cilantro and then drizzled with Mayoketchup. For the tostones, I usually just serve them with the Mayoketchup on the side. Double dipping is encouraged. And so there you have it! Tostones and mofongo. Let's give it a shot.
Sure. I'm gonna start with the mofongo actually.
They're great. They're so crispy, you get tender on the inside, and just the right amount of salt with the dipping it in the water.
Yeah, and the mofongo has great texture, very, sweet mouthfeel. Just tastes really, really great. Let's try this side.
I think plantains are such a great item to eat. They have a good flavor of their own, but they pair really well with other stuff. And so, I don't want to undertalk the Mayoketchup here. I think this is a big part of the dish and a good example of Puerto Ricans taking something that's not really their own, mayonnaise and ketchup, then adding garlic, adding adobo, and kind of making it into their own thing, which has actually become a huge thing. I know I use Mayoketchup on just about anything Puerto Rican now, and lots of people do as well.
Yeah, and now it's become such a big thing that you can go to your favorite store. There's some Latino brands that have come up with, bottled Mayoketchup, so you may be able to find it in the, condiment aisle, but I think homemade is definitely better. I also wanted to point out we made a very simple vegetarian version of mofongo as a side dish, but mofongo, there's lots of different variations. A lot of people add pork crackling to their mofongo, and they also kind of turn it into a main dish by making what they call mofongo relleno, which is, filled mofongo, and they'll put in chicken or beef or pork inside of it, and that way it becomes a main dish. But it's delicious. I like it by itself.
Spoiler alert, maybe we'll do that sometime in the future.
Yeah.
But until then, we hope you guys enjoyed the tostones, the mofongo. We hope that you enjoyed our video overall, that you've liked the series, that you're trying these recipes at home with your friends and your family. If you appreciated it, please support us, subscribe below, like the video, share it with your friends, comment, tell us what you're interested in knowing about, and help us make this a better channel.
Yeah, and if there's any specific recipe you want us to feature, let us know. We would love to give it a try.
And so until next time.
Yeah, and join us next week for the next episode of Jeff and Joe's Puerto Rican Kitchen.